Say that when the tape's running, because let's give it about 10 seconds. Because, you know, I was just say something about Texas airplane, because I got some tape of him taking off and landing and flying around, landing in a pretty stiff tailwind too.
Right there at the house?
Right there at the house, and Lily's over there wringing, just
Oh.
wringing her hands. She's worried about her getting killed. And
She's sorry. Did she tell you? I guess she came up with a new one the other day that Texas is so busy, is so far behind that he thinks he's first. I got a kick out of that one. We've been to Mexico with him. We've been everywhere with him, you know. And but he sure likes them airplanes. I don't know. He had about 3 of them there for a while, but I don't know how many he got now. But everywhere he's gone. And I'm lost. I always told him he's always friend. I used to be a pilot too, you know. I worked in liver stable. I'd pilot here and I'd pilot there, you know. I enjoy him because when I was sheriff, I used a local pilot here, Dick Smith, all the time, and we got in some pretty good predicaments. I'd have a burglary at Navajo Mountains, for instance. And you've been to Navajo Mountains? Well, that's a way down. It takes about all day to get there by car. Have to go way down the end of Arizona, Tuba City and over. So we'd fly down. One time we flew down there. They had a burglar down there. And we landed, and there was a little bit of snow on the airstrip. It was just a dirt airstrip. The wind was blowing. Man, we investigated the burglary, and he had to go up to the end of the strip to turn around to take off. And he spun around about 2 foot of snow, and we took off, and the wheel busted. And the minute it busted, he gave it the gas, and we got it off the ground all right, but we knocked the top out of 2 or 3 trees and pinions and whatnot. And finally, we circled around, and he got a look at that wheel hanging down, and there it was gone. So he thought we'd better land. I don't know why he didn't come on home and do it, but he landed there again, and on one wheel, until it slowed down and stopped in the darn plane. But anyhow, so then we sent to Page for another wheel for this plane. And the Page Airport sent us back a wheel, and he had a wheel like that big around, and this wheel he sent was only about that big around, but to fit the axle. We put her on, the plane set kind of sideways. And
they dropped it.
Oh yeah, they dropped it. He didn't want to land, it didn't look good. So he dropped it with a parachute, and we put her on and everything, and he cranked up the plane, and I stepped back. He said, well, ain't you going to get in? He said, if I get off, I get on back. Yeah. So I got in with him, and we took off, and we made it home with it all right, but we had some pretty hairy, I had several hairy experiences with him. We'd have to chase cows off the airstrip before we could land and all that kind of stuff, you know. Lots of backcountry airport. I was sheriff during the uranium boom, and there were many people that built little airstrips, all private airstrips, all over the darn country back. Some of them was pretty hairy, you know. And but we did have plenty of places to land if you get the cows off the strip, because they'd plow up the strip and level it, you know, and then the weeds would grow good, the thistles, and the cows would come out there to eat. And we'd have to buzz them every once in a while to get them chased off the strip.
you know Charlie Steen?
Huh?
Did you know Charlie Steen?
Yeah. He was kind of a funny guy too, you know. He gets a lot of credit, which he deserves, I guess, in a way. He was an oil geologist, and yeah, I met him one of the first when he first come to the country, but where he found that uranium is not where he geologized. You know, that was the funny part about the whole deal. He geologized this area right over here, and was gonna get rich, and he ran out of money. A fellow by the name of McCormick was backing him. Had a grocery store in Dove Creek, and they ran out of money. Like 3 miles before they got to where he was building this road up there, and he had a drill rig. Well, he had to drill a hole here, and that's where they hit the ore. after they got rid, then later he went ahead and had the area drilled where he geologized. There wasn't nothing there. but he made a lot, $60 million. Did you ever hear of anybody who could go through it so fast? I mean, like what, 3 years or 6 years was it? He went through that 60 million.
He died, but I guess he's still
Oh
alive.
no, he's still alive. Well, unless it's just been very recent.
He lives about 15 miles from me.
Does he?
And he's losing his mind. He has Alzheimer's. The rumor is he has Alzheimer's, and he's just at sort of in the initial stages. He's starting to lose his mind. He's still, functioning and able to talk, but he just has his memories going.
Lapse in my memory.
Well,
Exactly.
here a few years back, he came back. He come back to Cisco. He was going to get rich on the gold business up there again, but that didn't pan out. But he was different. He was kind of an oddball.
Why was he an oddball?
Well, in the first place, how can a guy go through that much money so fast? When he struck it rich down there in Moab, he threw a big party. and the wagon wheel, I don't think that exists anymore, but the wagon wheel bar was there, and they had beer running steady out of the tap, and if you wanted some, you just put a cup on it and got it. And they put it running steady. As soon as that barrel went dry, and the beer run out the door and down the gutter and clear down past the bank and down the street, Plus, everybody's car that wasn't locked had a bottle of whiskey in it the next morning. He had people going around putting whiskey. Didn't matter whether they were Mormons or Gentiles or what the heck they were. Everybody had a jug of whiskey. And crazy things like that. I mean, he went through thousands of dollars just that one party, just blowing it. People sold him a pickle factory in the San Luis Valley, Didn't even exist. There was a bunch of old barrels over there that hadn't even been put together yet, wooden barrels, for pickles. He invested in a wooden airplane business, building airplanes out of plywood. Hell, that wasn't successful. And hey, just one thing, he went through that money in a hurry.
But he had fun, I guess.
I would call that an oddball myself, but I don't know.
That might be why people like him so much in town.
Well,
He's being so generous and.
he was. He just give his money away. But a guy with $60 million, even those days, ought to still have quite a bit of money. The poor guy ain't got nothing, Oh, nobody disliked him. He was just different. Everybody liked him. Well, he gave stuff away. It just was unbelievable. Well, everybody else lived pretty high at that time, I guess. So I don't know. I really don't.
So Moab was doing pretty good back then, huh?
Well,
People getting paid good.
that's another thing. It might have hurt this movie industry slightly. I mean, they made a little money when the movies come in, these westerns and all, and then they hit uranium. The uranium really was a boom. It was a boom town. And then, of course, westerns went out for a while. I don't know whether you're aware of it or not, but they did. They're expensive, and some of this modern stuff took over. The skin pictures were very prominent. Didn't cost nothing. No wardrobe, nothing but a bedroom and a bathroom was all they needed for them. But people got tired of that. So now the westerns are coming back again. And Moab's living in a false, it's tourist today. I guess that might last, I don't know, but the first movies that hit Moab, which was Wagon Master, the statistics showed that it put more money in Moab in 6 weeks' time than 21 years of oil speculation put there. Now, that's a lot of money. Of course, oil speculation those days wasn't what it is today, but I mean, they still had those old rigs down the Mason oil field and all that down the river. But the movie industry in that short time put that kind of money in town. That's a lot of money. And it made them motel-minded. It also advertised, it made the tourist industry eventually, you see. And still, Betty's working at a hardship up there. She's not getting the support from the county commissioners that she should. And still it's been that movie industry to put Moab on the map. I don't understand it. And that's the reason I say the uranium business took over. You see, that did dump a lot of darn money in that town. And a lot of money was thousands, millions of dollars was wasted. But prior to that, Moab was a cow town. I remember Moab when right down Main Street where we used to have horse races, there was a row of big cottonwood trees right in the middle of the street. Shady and nice in the summertime, and we'd have horse races down there right down Main Street. Sandy road, you know. It was a sleepy cow town at that time. But look what's happened to it now.
Well, anything to say about the BLM or?
Yeah, I don't like them. Well,
You don't want to get into that.
not really, but you know, I was in town yesterday and they were having some kind of a meeting, BLM bunch, and there had to be 150, 200 of them there. Do you know, it hadn't been 30 years ago when 2 BLMers could run this whole territory. And now look how many they got. And it's, of course, just like everything else, government-wise, it just went out of proportion. We had the Taylor Grazing Act. What did we have before BLM? We had the Taylor Grazing Act. What was before that? But, I don't know. I better not discuss that. I'll get in trouble. That bunch, we can get along without.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, we can get along without them. And there again, it shouldn't be printed, I guess. But you know, the only people working for them, people couldn't hold down a job or run a business prior to them. They just couldn't do it. Now they're out there telling us what to do. It aggravates me. But I don't know. It looks like they're here to stay, don't it?
Yeah, sure does. Sure does. You know, I was just talking with Betty, and she said the last 3 movies they went to BLM to get permits for, they refused them.
That's killing us, you know. The only way they can do movies in here now is on private land. And this Rise of the Purple Sage they're doing down here, of course, will be on the Indian Creek Ranch property. BLM is just out, and the Park Service is just as bad. They're terrible. You know, this national park down here, I don't know how many million acres that took, but I asked them not too long ago why. I thought our government was against discrimination. And of course I was told they were. And I said, well, how come down here at this park, that park's just for backpackers and bikers. The older people that paid for that park can't even get to see it. What do you mean? Well, you promised to build a road to the confluence, you promised to do that. Now you're closing it off, and you never did that. Now you're closing it off. It's still open. If you can afford a Jeep or a guide, or many of these old people that paid for this park can't afford that. And still they drive 40 miles from the highway down there. There's no warning. They get down there and they can't see anything unless they can hire a Jeep or a guide or something. It's not right. And all you're getting is your backpackers and your bikers and like that in this park. That's all they want. And I testified in the congressional hearings in favor of that park. Boy, I'd never do it again. And I'd certainly testify against it right now to do away with it. We used to run cows in there before there was any roads back in there. I know that part. I can tell them darn rangers about things back there and they won't even go check it out. I know where there's petrified snakes in the rocks, and they don't even have to walk to go see it. Right from their darn Jeeps, and they never check it out. So there's a spring over there. Have you been in the park? You know where the golden stairs are, the silver stairs are, they call it? Anyhow, there's a spring back there. They don't know about it. Never have found it yet. Oh, heck with them. That dadgum bunch of hoodlums. My son did you know that new building where all the park people are, the new complex where they're going to live, you know, all the people? My son was a plumber, did all the plumbing, a lot of the plumbing down there, most of it. And he had one of these four-wheelers down there he was laying pipeline. He had to reclaim all his pipeline country, you know, had to harrow it and put a grass seed on it and all that crap. And he had his son down there, who was only about 15 then, running this four-wheeler. Running down, and the pipeline was right along the road going down there. The ranger stopped him and started giving him a ticket for having it. No four-wheelers allowed in this park. And one thing after another. And finally another guy come along and he said, well hey, anyhow, he sent for Benny, and Benny come down and he said, well, yeah, he's working for me. Yeah, but he's not allowed to run a four-wheeler here. Well, he said he's doing your reclamation work. He's pulling a hair with that. He's covering that up so he can. They couldn't see it. They wanted to give him a darn ticket for doing work for him. And he had a dog. And they said no dogs allowed here in the park on a leash. My son said, well, he's not a dog, he's one of my employees. The guy said, what do you mean? Well, he said he's in charge. He's in charge of picking up trash. And the guy said, oh, what are you talking about? Then he just threw the pop can out there, and the dog jumped out, picks it up, puts it in the back. They never did run that dog off that park. Yeah, that dog will do it every time. You know, he's done that to tease people a lot. But he's in charge of the cleanup around here.
So what are you doing for the movie you're working on now?
Well, right now I've got a wagon that's going in the picture, and I don't know what they're going to do with it. And 3 pack outfits for, he said he needed a wagon. That was the Wrangler. Now, the prop man said he'll send me a list. He went back to Hollywood and he'll send me a list on what props he needs. But right now, Wrangler, well, you leave this, but I can show you my props up here in this shed. And this so-called store over here, I just putting in a little showcase in there today, and it's kind of messed up, but we can go over to that.
Let's do that.
But all that stuff is props for movies. And
Let's do it.
what time is it getting to be?
I don't have a car.
Oh.
It's in the car. You want to get it? Just take
Well,
it.
that's all right. You're already making them. This place tore. A load of stuff just came in off the picture, and now I've got to get a bunch of stuff out of here. I don't know if you can see back in here or not, but all this stuff here is stuff for movie sets. You see props and your wife didn't show. But it's mostly junk kind of stuff. This back wagon back here is the one I'm working on now. We'll go out into, and I'm just putting the seat together. It's about ready to go. But Mostly junk is what they use, but makes good set equipment, you know. These pack outfits will all go out in this picture of the harness. And I don't know how much of this stuff. They haven't named it yet. Here's a cowboy bathtub. You ever seen one? They call them that anyhow. Yeah. Can you see it or can you get? And I got a hunch I want that. So I'm gonna take you down and show you the store. Got lots of stuff. Anyhow, it'll all show up good in the picture. Yeah, she didn't come. She should have seen this stuff. You what?
I'll bring her over here.
Yeah.
Just trying not to make noise. She knows better.
Ah.
You get somebody. If I get that on tape, you know.
So now this documentary you're doing, is that a film for whom? The public?
Yep.
I see.
It's for public television and for. I usually get my work on a show called The 90s, which is like public television. It's a public television syndicated show. They used to put it on all the PBS stations, and now they just put it on a network of public access stations that's all over the country.
Yeah, well.
Let's go over to the store.
Huh?
Let's go over to the store.
Okay. Yeah, well. It's kind of a mess right now, but it's different than anything you're used to, I guess. I sell a lot of stuff, but I prefer not selling it because I rent it. And, you know, you rent it 3 or 4 times, it's paid for. Yeah, there's my wife in the old Model T going down the road. This setup I'm just putting together now, I've been working on it today, but I got lots of junk in here. I just brought this showcase in today and setting it up, and haven't got it finished yet. But here's pack outfits over here that, and down under here that are going into this picture, next picture. What else? Some of the deer horns, of course, in the back, and I don't know. I got a lot of. It's still I could even do a little wardrobe here. I got these are mostly old boots and 105 or 501 rather Levi's. So they're kind of a collector's stuff now. And these are old. These are Terramera Indian stuff. This, of course, is Navajo or Ute. And I got all kinds of junk. Like I said in that article, I buy junk and sell antiques, so. You get enough light for that machine?
It's just barely over here. As I move towards the front, once I get it right about in here, it starts getting good.
Yeah, well, and then I got a place over next door over here with mostly horns, bones, and that kind of stuff. I sell a lot of bones. See, here's a good movie prop. For these old time pictures. They'll have to paint them, of course, but here's some crutches. You know, made out of Quakies. All that kind of stuff. They're pretty good. They'll probably use some of them in this picture. They'll paint them, bark them up. Saddlebag, all this stuff, just a lot of it just came back from a picture. Here's an old Navajo nothing said handle on workbench or work stump and things like that. This stuff in here is all unsawzy. Well, Larry, it's not. There's a bundle of snares that are probably 1,000 years old, never been used, 12 of them, old sandals, stuff the ancient people use, all their wooden tools down underneath there. So, I know there's no end to it. We still, you haven't seen it. It's part of it, you know, so far. Now we walk over here, we can see the bones and that kind of stuff. I just did a picture in Arizona. We used a whole truckload of bones. There's a slaughterhouse scene in Cowtown, Arizona. But see, those bins over there have got elk horns and then bones and deer horns and all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing how many of them they use. So, now it's fun. And then there's a big business in bones nowadays. These are all sheep horns here. But all this stuff it's just ideal props for Western pictures.
Do you have any land that you rent out?
Huh? No.
Yeah.
No, they were going to use this place. In fact, City Slickers number 2 built a copy of this store down Indian Creek. You can already tell them apart down there. But up here, there's power lines, there's highway noise and all that stuff. You know, they won't. Oh, you can filter out a lot of that stuff, but a lot of it you can't. So it's better to go build somewhere else. Yeah, every bit of this stuff has been in some picture or another. Even stuff out of my house. I've got, I don't know whether you noticed all the junk I got in the house or not, but she's over there sitting taking it easy on the porch. And I sell quite a bit of stuff too, but like I said, I'd rather rent it because you take it like a, well, here's a wheel. It's worth, it's a hay race wheel. It's probably worth $30. You know, I can rent that for $10 at a show, and if I get 3 shows, it's paid for. What the heck is it selling? So, these darn weeds are getting ahead of me now. I'm getting too darn old to keep this place cleaned up.
See this little shed behind the house?
Well, that's a wood shed, really. Keep the fireplace wood in there. But now I've got central heat in the house, and I don't have to cut much firewood, so I haven't got a whole lot of use for it. But you can see wood piled up in there. Yeah, this house, my wife and I built it. Yeah, we built this house, I think, well, I can't remember what year, but the electric makes this place proper. Pictures, but,
Go back and tell me about Bill Murray. You got to give me the one-liner on Bill Murray.
no, I didn't know he was. And people asked me if I was on that Bill Murray picture. I don't know what I was on. But it turned out I was on this Elephant Man, or this nickel and dime picture, and that was him, I guess, so. And that's the way, I was never particularly fond of Fonda or his daughter. They're both good actors. But I bet I went to sleep on the first third of that picture. Slept the whole darn picture. I didn't get to see it. But Henry's, I worked in several pictures with him, But, he's a good actor. I think what turned me against them more than anything is extreme environmental. I don't know. That was the way with that, what was his name on the Ponderosa picture?
Lauren Green.
Lauren Green. Did a good job, but yeah, darn, he's an extremist.
You know Bago?
Huh?
You know Bago Gerhardt?
Moab. Not well, I know him about all. There are a lot later pictures and all. And Sherry, I met Sherry Griffiths just the other day for the first time. And I worked in several pictures. I mean, she was even chairman of the film commission for 2 years. Real nice girl. I liked her. And I thought, well, I've heard so much about her, read a lot about her. I stopped and I introduced myself. Not 4 days ago. Last time I was in Moab. And she says she's busy with the river stuff now, and I can't put much time into the movies, but Vago, he's got a beard, doesn't he? Yeah, I met him on City Slickers #2, I